Hey, y'all, and welcome to Roundtable Talk with Tay and May,
where we aspire to show you no matter what you look like,
whether you're rocking jeans and Jordans or pearls and heels,
no matter what you've done or what you may still be struggling with,
addiction, promiscuity, drinking, depression, whatever, there is a seat in the kingdom for you. So come on in. We invite you to have a seat at the table as we do real talk, kingdom style. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, y'all. Welcome to another episode 19, y'all, of Roundtable Talk with Tay.
And May, how's it going, everybody? We missed y'all so much, but we have a lovely show for everybody tonight.
Yes. So, of course, you have noticed that there are three beautiful faces on the screen. And if you did not catch the flyer, we have an amazing guest, y'all. And I'm excited to hear her story. For sure. I've heard bits and pieces, but definitely God glory, okay?
It
Like,
really is. It's amazing. She has an amazing testimony as an author, a CEO, a speaker. She has so much going on, and it's going to be powerful to anybody who's watching. I'm sure her story is going to be touching and moving to everybody, but I know I was inspired, and I know my sis was inspired as well.
yes. So, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I am Sheena, known as better as the lady behind the mask. I am, yes, a CEO of Sheena and Master Motivation. I am the author of several different books. I am also a poet, a motivational speaker, a life coach. Uh, List goes on because if I carry on, you're going to be like, all right, we're going to be here all day. But it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be in the building. And as always, I'm here. Let's talk about it.
Yes. So, first of all, so where are you from? Because I love your I know where you're from, but I just love your accent, and I want you to tell the people where.
Originally, I am from Cross, South Carolina, but I do reside right now in Troy, New York.
Yes, y'all. You hear the accent. I think she's official. She's an official New Yorker. Uh,
No,
she,
I will always and forever be a Carolina girl.
yes. So we're going. As y'all know, we start out every show right with our brag about God segment, and so it's only right that that's how we're gonna start, and then we're gonna. And there is no such thing as oversharing, right? So we are here to listen, run it down. Don't look nothing missing, nothing, nothing missing. Okay. So let's get into this brag about God theme music, and then we're gonna come back on and show y'all, tell you guys how God showed up in our lives in some way during this last 2 weeks.
Wait a second, let me brag on my God. Hear the truth, yeah, he be showing off. Yeah, I promise he never took a loss. If I'ma tell it, I gotta tell it all. Wait a second, let me brag on my God. Hear the truth, I ain't just telling y'all. You can count it, he never took a loss. And if I'ma tell it, I gotta tell it all.
Okay, so I'm always polite and courteous, and I go last. So, May, what is your brag about God moment this week?
My brag about God moment is just how moving he is to every prayer that I basically had. Over the past 2 weeks, I know my daughter, she's been having some struggles with various neighbors and things like that. And the Lord showed up in tremendous ways in her life showing how faithful he is even in the last moment of things that were happening in her life, and that helped build her faith with what was going on with it. So I just thank God for listening to us, and he cares about every detail in our lives. So just keep on going to him whenever we're having struggles or anything like that at all. And that's my brag about God. How about you?
So, I have a huge one, right? So you know that we as believers, we know God is real, right? But then there are those moments, right, where he does something like big, like a straight miracle, and it's like you be like, God, you really are real. So without getting into too much detail, because it's not my testimony to tell, but I'm excited to hear her one day tell it. Somebody very close to me within the last 2 weeks, um, unexpectedly, like health took a crazy turn. And when you're hopeful, right? And you're faith filled, but you never know, right? And of course, I'm praying. Thank you, May. Like my sis was praying, and I'm first and foremost, I'm grateful for praying friends, right? Um, that right there is a show in itself. To have friends, it's cool and it's cute to shop together and nails together and go to movies together and laugh and girl talk with. But to have women that's like going to go to war and pray for you, like is I was just so grateful, and I've been like so flooded with that over the last 2 weeks, dealing with this family circumstance. So God definitely he turned it around. He healed somebody I love very dearly, performed a miracle right in front of our eyes. And though they're still recovering, like God he's amazing. He is definitely amazing. Like it was one thing after another, like they were in the hospital for 2 weeks, and one day it was this, they went in with one thing, and 2 days later it was, oh, now it's this, and 2 days later, and now this surgery is needed, and this is, and like God was just like like right after them, here he comes. So that's my break about God moment. I'm just grateful because he definitely is still working miracles.
Yes, he is. And it was so beautiful just watching it step by step and seeing how God stepped in. Like every prayer that we would pray over this person, he showed up and he blessed in abundance. It was even shocking doctors and things like that. So there's no prayer that's too big or too small for God. So it was just beautiful. And I'm glad that I was able to be that person to be able to help you see through it and pray for you, because it doesn't take much to give a prayer, but God always shows up for us.
Right. And it's funny because I say, like, you know, the biggest act of love we can do for anybody, even people we don't know, is pray for somebody. Like it's to pray for somebody. Like, so definitely grateful, grateful, grateful. So Sheena, do you have a brag about God moment?
I mean, you may as well say I brag every day because me being here and opening my eyes, that's a brag right there.
What?
Because the conditions that I entail, you would think that I probably wouldn't be able to get out of bed. Because let me put it like this: I have fibromyalgia, I have ankylospondylitis, which is arthritis in my spine. It goes the rest of my joints are rheumatoid arthritis. I have osteoarthritis. I have polycystic kidney disease, polycystic ovarian syndrome. I'm anemic and low iron. And yeah, so that's a miracle every day for me to be up, functioning, and doing everything that he has purpose for me to do.
And right, what she just ran down, right? And you probably were told like you weren't even going to be able to do the small things, right? The normal everyday things, right?
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
like she's out here living the exceeding and abundant life. Okay. And again, even to the situation that I, witnessed over the last 2 weeks, like prayer works, man. Prayer works. Like I said, God is real. And there's nothing he can do. And it's also a testament to not give up hope. Like I said, you've probably heard things,
Mm-hmm.
what you can't do, what it'll be hard for you to do. Oh, don't even think about doing that.
Right.
And again, like God has the final say. So this is my word, right? No matter what man says, right? God has the final say. And no matter what somebody says to you, a doctor or a nurse, whoever, right? man, keep praying. If it's something that you're believing for and you're hoping for and that you want to see come to pass, keep putting them prayers on it. Keep praying. Because what's the scripture? With men, it is impossible. But with God, all things are possible. So even not just with men, it's impossible. To men, a lot of times, it's impossible. But man, like, you remember, you serve the God that created the person that's telling you it's not impossible. That's it's not possible. So
Right.
yeah. So Sheena, I'm be
Yeah.
honest, I don't know where to start, right? So let's just start from now and work our way back, okay?
Okay.
What is your latest book, right? What's your
Okay.
latest project?
The latest one was actually Masking in Your Brokenness, and I was actually the visionary of this project. I actually had 4 other people write this book with me, and in this book is basically stories of people going through their testimony and being able to say how they mastered the brokenness of how they went through their storm. And yes, I do have a story in there as well. So that's the latest book that I wrote that just came out actually last month.
That's great. And how long did it take you to write that book?
It took us, we started this project last year actually, and we finally got it out this year, and I'm super excited to be able to get it out for my co-authors, which was April Jackson, Shamika Harris, Crystal and Michelle, and Don Gregory are my co-authors in this book. So it was exciting to be able to work with those wonderful ladies, and just reading their stories so empowered. So I say definitely go get that book.
Now, is it geared towards all readers, or do you have a specific audience that one's geared towards?
It's geared to all readers. It's in because it's always somebody that's going through something. It's not necessarily a particular type of story. It's just them telling their story of what they've been through as they mass through their situations.
Okay, well, definitely. How can people get that book in their hands?
They can either get it from Amazon, or they can contact me either on my website at ShenaUnmaskingMotivation.com, or they can always email me or hit me up on social media and get their copy as well.
Great. So what we'll
Well, I
do,
shall say get a signed copy.
okay, well, we need that. So what we'll do here is, like after we're off, we'll put up some of your links on the page here, so that anybody who wants to go and look up your information there, we can have that readily available for them. And what other books do you have?
Um, well, the one after that was, well, the one before that, 'cause I say after, the one before that was The Power in Me, which is my children's book. And with that one, I co-authored with my daughters, and I made them the characters of the book. And that book is basically to empower kids to dream big and know that regardless of where they are, where they come from, that they can be anything that they want to be. I've actually been touring to a lot of elementary schools and boys and girls clubs, and after school programs and stuff, and pretty much been reading this book to the kids and inspiring them to be powerful and use their special power, and to remember to just dig deep, and that regardless on any size of shape, that they matter, regardless on who they are, they matter, and that the power comes from within them. So the title of the book speaks for itself, The Power in Me.
That's beautiful, and I bet that makes your kids feel special too.
Yes, absolutely. And then but then after that, well, before that book, it was my other book, which is called Unveil the Broken Piece of the Mask, which is a poetry book. That book is basically, it's poetry and spoken words, but it also have affirmations and questions for you to be able to break down the masses of what you may be dealing with within your own testimony. A lot of empowerment I put in there, because if you go to the first book that I wrote, which was called The Mask Behind the Mask, it's because it all started with me wearing my own masks of domestic violence and being a chronic illness person, and just dealing with all these things. It's like, why not put this work into a book to inspire people to be the best version of themselves? So I had to then work into the second book to give them the pieces on how to break it off. But there is a third part that is coming, and it's called The Evolution of the Mask, and that will be out by July.
So me and my kids actually have the book, guys, in real life. Like I should have had it, but like Sheena has her copy.
I do.
But
I
yeah,
do.
It's definitely first of all, so before the book was even released, I seen the cover, and the cover is so cute, right? The illustration is so and mind you, so my kids are older.
Mm-hmm.
At the time they were now they're 15 and 17. At the time they were like 14 and 16. But it's a book for all ages. And to be honest, right, I'm a grown up, but we all need encouragement, right? We all need to be reminded, right,
Mm-hmm.
that we do big things in spite of. So it's definitely like May said, we're definitely going to put all Sheena's information. And all your books are on Amazon, correct?
Yes, they all are on Amazon. And then all the other books that I have chapters in, they have to probably contact me because I'm in 38 other anthologies. Yeah,
Uh,
I've been busy for like the last 4.5 years. It's about to be 5 years next year. Next year, February, it'll be 5 years.
I thought you was ready to say like the last 10 years. Wait a
No,
minute. I'm okay, I'm okay. Like what in the
I've been
super?
busy.
Like you guys.
She has a lot going on. And I also was looking up some of your the unmasking motivation behind your workshops and your programs
Hmm.
for
Yes,
domestic violence and
yes.
homelessness. So how does that work out as far as you being able to balance that and then writing your books and everything in between that you have going on?
See, it's crazy because now I have actually expanded myself and partnered with different agencies. I work with Wellsprings out in Saratoga, Malta. I work with YWCA out of Schenectady. I work with Abbey House out of Massachusetts. I work with Unity House out of Troy. And I've actually worked with St. Paul Center out of Rensselaer. And I'm still connecting myself to other places. But it balanced out because the way I do my schedule is most of my workshops are done pretty much on the weekends. And what it is that I go to the shelters and I usually go there probably once a month. And I go to inspire the women there to give them self empowerment workshops, a self confidence building. I teach them how to become a better version of themselves and how to use their voice and how to get their power back. And then in the midst of during the week, I write, and then I schedule myself out, and then I also give myself time for breaks because if I don't, then I'll be overworking myself. So I've learned to balance my schedule because then I'm also a mom. So in between that, in the meantime, in between time, I still have to be a mom, have to cook, and all those good things.
Yeah, I was looking at your page and I saw all of that. I said, wow, when does she fit
Yeah.
time in for herself? But I'm so glad that you're able to balance it all out and get a schedule for yourself. And it seems like you have a pretty good schedule where you're able to balance everything. So it's
Yeah,
good to see that.
I had to because when I first started the first 2 years, I was just going, going, going. I was just busy, busy, busy. And it's like I have to find time for me because if I'm giving, 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 and my purpose is to be, you know, which I call the word dope is the acronym, which is dedicated to other people empowerment. So being dope, it takes a lot of work. Or how I use the other acronym, healing, which is helping to empower and amazing lives. So the thing about that is that I had to find a balance because I had to find the terms of being able to pour into myself. So I had to find my me time, my time to spend with the kids and my husband, or my time to chill with just myself and take that time of quality for me. Because if I don't fill myself back up, how am I pour into other people? So, and then another thing I like to do, I also am a spoken word artist. So, in the midst of that, too, me writing my poetry, I create my music. So,
Let me find out you got a mixtape coming out, Sheena.
I do, I already got, the first album is out on Spotify already. It's called I was always a rose in the darkness of love. That one's out already. The second one I have the second one. I'm working on it right now. I've been working on the second one for like the last about to be 2 years. I have all the tracks. I'm putting it all together now. So that one is going to be called The Evolution of the Masses, The Evolution of the Rose. So, it's all about the evolution. It's all about the come out. It's all about the I'm here. What's up?
Listen, so we're gonna need a snippet, okay? To like, because we didn't know you had to take a whole album, okay? Okay.
I thought you knew that. Yeah, the Spotify.
No.
My Spotify album has been well, I mean not my Spotify album, but it is on Spotify. But my album's been out for probably about to be 2 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some like May said, because it will be like, well, my joke. I'd be like, I be always like, when does she sleep? Because like if you follow Sheena, she's like constantly posting, promoting. I just dropped this book, or she's here, she's there, she's getting this award, she's nominated for this. Go vote for me for this. Just and I'm like, when does she sleep? Like when does she sleep? Because like she said, on top of that, she's a wife and she's a mom. But something that you said so importantly, you said, and just like you said, it took you 2 years. And I know me personally, right? A lot of us are trying to do God things, big things, right? And it's like, you get started, but you also have your day-to-day life, work,
Mhm.
kids, just, and it's like, how do I balance all of this without anything? My thing is like, I don't want anything falling by the wayside. I don't want anyone or anything to be neglected. So how do I figure all of this out? So you just kind of help me feel better, because I'm in the beginning of walking in things
Mhm.
um that are not my norm, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes I don't get to it, and I'm just like, how do you do all of this, right?
See, I had to remind myself, you can't rush what's grace is for you. You understand? It's
Mm,
gonna come when it's supposed to. A lot of time we want to speed and get it out there, but always remember, trust the process. And just because it's not out by 4 months, it's okay. It's in God's timing. It's in the time that it's supposed to come out. We can always put a perspective date. Doesn't mean that's when it's gonna come out. Our goal is for it to be out a certain time, but if it's not, it's okay. It wasn't meant to be out at that moment. And we have to remember that. We have to, because I remember where I would work all day. It's been to the point now to whereas this is my schedule from in the morning and shut off time. Anything after 8 o'clock, it's over. Unless it's emergency, because I need the rest of that time to be for me. If I have something I have to do, it's a cutoff time. I need to go do this for my kids, or I need to go do this for myself, because we give so much. And if we don't give ourselves nothing, how are you going to be able to give anybody else anything? So we have to put boundaries on our time as well, because you can't get it back.
right, right. And like you said, just for me, that's the word that I kept hearing, like
Hmm.
balance,
Hmm.
balance. And what you said, like, you come up with what sounds like a system, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes, more than, like you said, trying to get it done, so to speak, like, take time to figure out what's the best way to do it. Come up with a
Right.
system first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've learned, and it's not always, but allow yourself grace.
Yes.
Like, allow yourself grace, because there's some nights it's like, when I didn't get to everything that was on my list, then it's
Hmm.
like, oh, you failed, you was lazy today, you wasn't motivated, you was,
It's
you
you,
know,
we have to remember, we're human, we're not robots, and you can't do it all at once. It's okay to not get everything on your list done, because you eventually get tired. You're not a robot that keeps going. You're not the Energizer bunny to keep going, going, and going. Because then, if you're too exhausted, how are you going to be able to deliver the message that needs to go to the person that needs to hear it? How are you going to be able to get up to take care of the things you need to take care of? I had to remember, I am a mom, so I have to be there as a kid, for my children. I have to be there for myself. I have to be there for the people that need to hear this testimony. But if I'm not taking care of me, how can I take care of those people? So that's why when I wrote the poem called She Showed Up, I have to show up for me first to then be able to show up for other people.
absolutely. And like you're pretty much in, and I've heard it before, like, when you're not okay, so you show up, but if you're not showing up as your whole self, as your best version, right? Okay, you show up, but you didn't show up the way you could have showed up, or the way
Right.
sometimes, or the way you wanted to show up, right? The
Right.
way that you
Right.
wanted to show up. So now that's the thing. Oh, I could have did, but I want to hear that phone.
Right now, I don't even know where that poem is. That has to be for
I mean,
another show. I don't know where it is. I have to find it. And
that
look, she like, you better
that
go look.
title sounds so like
But it's called
it
She
was
Showed Up.
But I love
Ugh.
like how a lot of your motivation, like you were saying in some of your interviews, it's like you learned yourself and then you were able to love the person who you are. And that
Mm-hmm.
goes into part of what that poem's about.
Yeah, absolutely. It does. And mainly from that poem is basically talking about how you show up for yourself, you show up for the next person. You show up to be there for the people that you are taking, you're taking care of. And you show up for the queens that even that you don't know. That's the main moral and the message behind She Showed Up. And it's just about being able to show up for the next person.
So that's a lot to even think about because all the stuff that you have going on, it's like, okay, how do I
Yeah.
make time for that? But I'm just proud of you and all that you've done.
Thank you.
yeah.
You're welcome.
I
Um,
actually think I found it. You lucked up.
look at
I found
God.
it.
Look,
I
y'all.
found it.
Listen, He
I
cares
found
about
it.
everything that I care about. And I wanted to hear that poem, and he was like,
Yeah.
"Listen, I got you."
I
Um,
found it. I found it.
but before you read the poem, yay.
It's
Um,
here. I got you.
throughout
Whenever
the
you ready.
day,
But it's here.
it's funny because this verse popped in my head just thinking about your life, right? And it's Proverbs 16:3. Commit your actions to the Lord, and your plans will succeed.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
also had one too when I was thinking of you, and it came from Luke 4:18 through 19, where it says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to the captives and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty to those who are oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." It just reminded me of how you're going out there and using what you've been through, what you've experienced to be able to help other people who are down, and you used it to show your triumph and you're still growing through it.
Yeah. Like, 7 years ago, going through the process of being a domestic violence and being dragged, being, you know, just going through that process and having your kids see that is like, okay, after going through therapy and figuring out why I was dealing with the things I was dealing with, why I was allowing the things I was settling for, it's like, okay, what do I do now? How can I change what's going on for the people that are coming behind me? So my first step was the book. From the book, I then created the business because it's like, all right, how else can I impact them? From the business, I created the podcasts. From the podcast, we created the show. And then, along with the music, because some people might not like to read. So why not give them music to hear as well? So, it's just the factors of being able to give them a different mindset and a shift. And through this purpose, he's gave me the vision, and I just continue to walk through the doors he opens.
That's truly a blessing.
And that's a perfect example, right, of how us sharing our story obviously was with wisdom and discernment. Don't, just be blurting out. But there is power in us telling our story because, like she said, for the people coming behind her, right? For the woman that's still in it, right?
Right.
That's being told, oh, if you leave me, you'll never survive. You won't ain't
Hmm.
gonna be nothing. Listen, like that is why it's so important, again, with wisdom and discernment. But yes, to share our stories, like I never forget one of my church sisters, she said, she was like, I refuse to let anything that I've been through go to waste. And so again, like, it makes me think about the verse that says, we are comforted to be a comfort to others. And sometimes it's like, no, God doesn't, put us through things, but he will allow those things. But that's her, your story is a testament that what was meant for evil, God can turn it around for good. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
all
Yeah.
things work together for the good of those who love the Lord. And like he can work with anything. He can take
Right.
the biggest mess and turn it into a message. You know,
Absolutely.
so, and people need to hear that because so often, you just see, the bad, right? But we never see the after or the
Mm-hmm.
hope or the encouragement. So we just need more of that. Like, listen, yeah, I went through this, but guess what? I came out of it, and so can you. You
Right.
know. So in that therapy part, I tell people, listen, I am an advocate for therapy. Like,
Yes.
it is. I know God made therapy. Okay, I know that perfect. Because and I remember like once upon a time, even you heard as you know when you were growing up, like um, you know, we don't go to therapy. Our colored people don't go to
It
therapy,
used to
and
be pray through it. And I'm like, yeah, we can pray through it, but I need more than that.
listen, and absolutely right. But God partners with things and people
Mm-hmm.
here on the earth, right?
Right.
So no, it's not that God is not enough. He is more than enough. But he knows that there are those times when we need that tangible thing, right? That
Mm-hmm.
tangible voice, that tangible. So, and we know, like, it's him through them anyway. But there is nothing wrong with because you have people who will make people feel bad about going to therapy.
Right.
Like, all you gotta do is pray, and if you was this, then you wouldn't need.
Mm-hmm.
No, like I no, I can't. That's terrible. First and foremost, okay. That's like telling somebody who's having a heart attack, don't call the doctor.
Right. Just take some Tylenol.
Okay, well, you do that if you want to, and
Right.
yeah, but yeah, I think therapy is a beautiful thing. And not even just, when you're going through stuff like me, I have a therapist right now and I'm not even in the midst of something, but it's just cool sometimes to have that outlet, right? And different stages of it, okay, cool, nothing's going on, but let's just work on my accountability.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
we
it's
need that.
yeah, yeah. So, listen, therapy, awesome. I am so for it.
Yes, me too.
I know will testify. It definitely works. It's a blessing.
Yes,
It's
it
Right.
a
is. I'm interested to hear this poem. Now let's get to it.
no.
I'm ready.
I was just ready to be like, okay, now the poem.
I'm
Y'all funny.
ready.
Y'all is funny. It says she showed up. She showed up for yourself. She showed up for love. She showed up for herself. She showed up for the self knowledge. She showed up for her kids. When the moment when you recognize in order to be the true of who you are, you have to show up for you. You have to show up for her mother. Many times we forget in order to be present, you have to show up for the ones we love. Show up bold and fierce. Show up with faith, not fear. Show up with love and compassion. Show up with knowledge and power. Stand with your head held high. She showed up with grace and mercy. She showed up with forgiveness and healing. She showed up with joy and happiness. She showed up with the power and the glory. Stand tall to the presence of your fellow queens. She showed up with respect and honor. She showed up with discovery and peace. She showed up with dreams and ambition. She showed up with strength and wisdom. She, S with it stand for strong, H stands for healing, and E for empowerment. Always showing up for yourself, for the ones you love. Give grace for the queens you don't know and show up for them too. She showed up for 2022. She showed up with elevation. She showed up with love. She showed up for knowledge and she showed up for wisdom. She showed up for 2022. She showed up.
She showed up. Okay.
She sure did. And that was definitely empowering. That was very, very
Right.
powerful.
Yes.
Wow. That was
Yes.
good.
Thank
I'm
you, thank
glad
you,
you
thank
found
you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, yeah, that was in the archives. That actually, I found it in the book where all the because that is actually in the book that's coming out in the evolution of the mass. So that poem will be in there.
So that'll be
So
July, you said, right?
yep, that'll be in July. I haven't figured out the haven't particular dates yet, but to be announced. But it will be July. It's
Well,
coming.
well, well, we need that for our birthday. Both of our birthdays are in July, so
Look,
we need that.
I was going to say, look, the 8th or the 16th would probably be wonderful days. Either or.
I'll look. Let me put that here. We'll see. We'll see. It might be before those dates too, but it'll definitely be there. Um, you probably heard my poetry and didn't know that you was hearing my spoken word. You never heard My intro that's called Not Anymore. No,
I have
go. You probably can play it. Go look on YouTube on my page called The Lady Behind the Mask. And
right now.
yeah, you
Nate,
can look it
hold
up
it
right.
down
I
real
said one of
quick.
y'all look it up right now, and it actually says my album's on there too, and it's The Lady Behind the Mask. And when you go look for it, it's right in there.
Oh, so I'm digging that picture behind
What, this one? Strong?
that one. Yes.
That one I actually got for my first anniversary. After being an author for a year, I had did a poetry event in New York City. And I it was an artist that was painting this while I was on stage, so I had to buy that. That was necessary.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Okay, so
very nice.
you said it's called wait.
What, my YouTube is The Lady Behind the Mask,
Yeah.
but the song I told it's called The Lady Behind the Mask, but the song I told you is called Not Anymore.
So what I was also wondering about is your radio station. Tell us about that a little bit.
All right, so I am on the radio out in Nigeria, and it's HOD Radio. That is the platform that I'm on. I work with this guy. His name is Daniel, and I am there Fridays at 3 p.m. And it's pretty much off my podcast and my TV show that's called The Power in Me. The point of the power in me is basically giving you a power in your voice. It's a power in your voice to show up and teach you how to be able to use your voice and speak your mind. I interview people that, talk about their business, what they do, and how they're empowered of using their voice and using their words. It's quite funny when I had COVID at the end of 2021, I think it was. What is 21? Yeah, either that or no, it wasn't. Yeah, it was 2021. I had COVID, and during the process of me going through COVID and recovering, I kept hearing the power in me, the power in your voice, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? So I wrote it down, and then eventually that's where one, the book came, The Power in Me, and then two, I created the podcast called The Power in Your Voice, because both, the word power, which is something we sense a need and use, and it's something to empower us. So power is a very strong word to be able to show up with strength, confidence, and to just be able to glow through what you grow through.
I definitely agree with that. When you go through something, you grow through it because you're learning from it in the process of it. But how's the radio show work as far as like with the time difference? How do you work that out?
Um, See, I don't even. It's not live. All my stuff is pre-recorded, so I send it over. Like I have to send it over like a week before, like the beginning week, and by Friday they puts it up. I don't have to worry about the time difference because it's already pre-recorded. I just shift it over through an email.
Oh, that's good. That works.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
It's
like,
not
oh,
live.
yeah, because
Yeah,
otherwise you'd be staying up all night, or else somebody would be
yeah.
staying
No,
up.
no, 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 no. But nah. By the time it comes on over there, it's 3 p.m. Eastern here. So, but
Got
no,
you.
yeah,
Well, that
no.
makes sense.
Listen, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. I already work too much doing the live. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
That I would just so Sheena, aren't you got other stuff, right?
I got
Like
other stuff
radio.
like,
I
and then
like can we find you on TV somewhere?
yes, you actually can. That actually from the podcast, The Power in Your Voice is now actually a TV show. And that is on BHC Media Network. And I do same interviews, but it's a little longer. And yes, it is a small fee, but you can find me on Roku. You can find me on your Apple TV. You can find me on your Fire. I'm everywhere. Look, I show up on your radio, I show up on your TV, I show up in your eyes, I show up.
And that's good. And that just goes along with all those awards that you've been receiving. So tell us a little bit about
Yes.
that.
All right. So the recent award that I actually just got for my latest book, just that I got for my first book called The Math Behind the Mask, I actually received the number two, and this was actually out of Nigeria from the Royal Prairie Group USA, which is out of Nigeria. I received, it's called the Royal Crown, and I out of the list that it was, they had 7 people, and I hit number 2. So I got the Royal Crown Award for The Mask Behind the Mask, and that was because it was so powerful and impactful. And it had so much impacting in it. They gave me the number 2 spot, which I am so proud of because that was my very first book. That's the baby of the group. That's where it all started. So, it's super excited to say that 4 years later I'm coming out with the third part. So the whole sequel will be done with that part of the sequel, and then y'all will be able to get all 3.
I'm just like, how do you make it over Nigeria? Like, how do you get connect? Like,
Me just networking. It's networking because not last year but 2021 I also was the African. I was a face of what was it called? I don't want to say it wrong. I was the global face of African fashion for peace, crowned. So I have a crown for 2021 from Nigeria already. So it's just me networking. That was me doing a competition. Me getting into the Royal Prayer Group, that's just me networking, and they see my work. And then last year I had got an award for authentic leader through them. And then this year I got an award for my book. So it's just me networking. You know me. I tap in. I'm always networking with somebody. Somebody's always mentioning me. And then I'll get an inbox. Hey, and I'm just, what it is I just consistently show up, and eventually God just consistently bless these people to be in my path to see my page, because I'll get inboxes. Hey, I happen to see your page and I love the work you're doing, blah blah blah. And so it's just me constantly being able to show up and consistently doing this for the same 4 years to market myself. And just regardless on how many likes or shares I've gotten, I still showed up like it's a million people watching. So just me constantly showing up, I've just been blessed to be able to network, because I've actually had interviews in London. I've had interviews in Germany. I've had interviews in Nigeria. I've had interviews in Jamaica. I've been to uh, Saudi Arabia. I've been to India. All these have been online, and I've had all these interviews out of state. I mean, out of the country. So it's just been a blessing of just being, I've actually had my music played out in London as well.
I
So,
just it was I just heard like enlarge my territory. Like, I mean, that's what that is like.
mhm,
And like you said, showing up, right? And that's like, so I'm a part of this group called Kingdom Seekers.
mhm,
Like our mentor Pedro Adado, he is like big on consistency. He's like, listen, there's power in being consistent and showing up. Just showing up. Every day, just make the decision to show
mhm.
up. Whatever you have committed to, just show up. And like, God's gonna take over the rest.
It
Like,
is.
so
I'm gonna tell you how real it is. Now, mind you, when I published this first book, this one right here, did I ever think that it's going to be as big as what it is now? No. When I actually wrote the book, I did it in the prime time of my healing. And it's like, okay, my kids can see that I wrote this book and mommy came through something. But I wrote the book. It was done in February. By March, I was literally on the front of my newspaper out here, Detroit Record, it's called. So I was on the front page of the paper the very next month. Um, I actually hit the stage, tell my story for the very first time in front of 80 people at a play. I then was, from my story being on the front page paper, our news station that's called Spectrum News that runs all the time. A guy there, one of the anchors, seen it, and he then gave me a story. So I had a story on the news, on Channel 9 News, then I had Channel 13 News, and I had Channel 10 News. And then that, like I said, it's just, my plan was one thing, but the vision was something else. And then from now, I have several awards and all these other accolades, because I actually just won the Art and Cultural Award through the YWCA, and we had this big old gala. It was amazing being able to be at the gala, being able to just being honored for the hard work and dedication that I've done for the last 4 or 5 years. So it's grace.
And definitely what you've explained right there just took me back to our core verse of Jeremiah 29:11, because God,
That
he had a plan and purpose for you in everything that you went through, regardless of whether you were going through those painful times where you were
Hmm.
being abused and how
Right.
you overcame it. He still had a plan for you, and he's showing you how he's blessing you in your obedience and taking you to the next level, putting you in the path of others who you would have never even imagined yourself being in a room with, let alone going to all of these different countries and having your
Hmm.
story being told and how it's impacting people all over the world. And that's just God. That's truly a blessing and divine
It is.
intervention that I see with
It
it.
is. It definitely is.
and what I just heard from for myself, right, and even for all of us, right. That's why it's important to fulfill, right, to complete, to first start, because first we gotta start, and to
Hmm.
complete the visions that God has given us, right. Because you don't ever know. Like, imagine you don't do it.
Right.
Like you said, okay, I write a book, and of course, your hope is people buy it and people read it. But that's probably it. But God is like, we already know it's like exceedingly abundantly above what we can ask, think, or even imagine, right?
Hmm.
You didn't see news. You didn't
No.
see probably different countries,
No.
newspapers, and so listen, y'all. Let's not rob ourselves of seeing what God wants to do with us and what He wants to show us. Like,
Right.
that is so amazing. So I did find the song, y'all.
Oh,
So
did you?
we're going, yes,
Which
guys,
one you found? Not anymore.
not anymore. And I ain't gonna lie, I for a couple of seconds I was like, ooh, but I ain't want to listen without you. Look, the first time it's gonna be all together. I'm not gonna cheat you, okay? But
This about to be your This about to be your anthem.
let listen. Let's let's talk after the show, okay? Okay.
Not anymore. Yes, I was a broken one. Yes, I didn't love me. Yes, I decided to settle for what wasn't best for me. Yes, I was in a toxic relationship. Guess what? Not anymore. I have grown from the broken pieces. I have learned to love me when no one else. I have learned that I will never settle in my life or my peaceful atmosphere. I have learned the difference between love, lust of a good relationship. Yes, I wasn't perfect, but I learned to work on my mind, my body, and my soul connections. Yes, I have allowed the wrong spiritual realm. Now I've learned about the not allowing the negative energy around. Yes, I've been down the road of destruction. Now I've learned how to not move by emotion, but by the spirit of my faith and purpose. Not anymore. My fails will not keep me from being a better version of me. Not anymore. My toxicness will stop me from loving myself or trusting others in my peaceful place. Not anymore. My lack of post trauma is going to stop me from my future goals. Yes, not anymore. I know my power. I know I'm overcoming. I know I'm a pilot. I know I'm loved. Yes, not anymore. I'm dope. Dedicated to other people and power. I love my dope relationship.
That beat is so fire.
Thank you.
That's what I was about to say. That beat is all that. So do you work with specific people who create that beat for you?
I do. His name is Money Smith Kid. He actually produces thing. He's a part of this group called the Office Boys as well.
All right. Well, he
We
did
need
good.
we need an intro song.
So, huh?
We need an intro song, okay? Like, we need your connect, okay? Because that beat was like jumping. But yes, this has been
Yes.
so.
So, hmm?
Anything else you would like to share with us?
Yes, I will be on Coffee and Conversations with Sandra on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central. We're also doing Unapologetically, it's a domestic violence platform. I will be there June 15th, and it is free, so please sign up on Eventbrite. And also, y'all know the new book is out, so make sure y'all check out The Masking and Your Brokenness. And what else am I doing? Oh, I think that might be it for now. Girl is busy, but that's all on the top of my head right now is going on, that's coming on. And as always, make sure y'all follow the podcast, check me out. Y'all can always find me on The Lady Behind the Mask on Facebook. You can always find me on as Juanita Mask, and on Instagram is The Lady Behind the Mask 22. On TikTok is Sheena Author 22, and on LinkedIn is W_Gourdine. And yeah, I'm about that.
Yes, yes. Look, y'all. Just type in her name, y'all, cause y'all ain't nobody gonna remember.
I
Just
know it's a
Google
lot.
her. Google her to
Yeah,
all look
Google
all
me because
her.
it pops up. I'm Googleable.
Yes, okay. Google her, okay. But yes, like May said again, we will drop all Sheena's links. Go, but everybody know about Amazon, and if you don't, you sleeping, okay?
I'm about to say you can follow me on there too. I have an author's page on there as well.
Yes. So for all Sheena's books, go on Amazon, type in her name. We'll even drop the spelling of her name, everything on the page so you can find her. Dope work, dope work. Amazing woman. Such a pleasure to have you on here.
It's always
Um, look, what, look, Lord willing, we're gonna have you back again so you
yeah,
can
because
so you
you
can
know
run
what?
it down and tell us what you done did since
You know
today.
why? Because we didn't talk about my movie that I did. So absolutely. Or my
Well,
monologue. So yeah.
well, we okay. So listen, I'm gonna leave it up to you because we ain't in no rush. So listen, we could talk about it today, or we can wait for part two with Sheena Guy.
We can talk about it now. Actually, I took the first book because I'm always creating different things of different ways. So the first book I did a documentary, and it was basically several different people, and it was called Through Your Eyes: The Mask Behind a Mask. And it's basically several stories of men and women, and also my daughter, being able to speak about domestic violence and how it was to see someone go through it or go through it them personally, and how, and where they are now. So, and I also was on the news talking about that as well too, on channel 10 and channel 13, about that movie. And I can always share the link. It is on a YouTube. So if you want the link, let me know. Always contact me. You can see this about 2 hours. So make sure you got the time and the patience to sit and watch it. Also, my monologue is on my YouTube, and my YouTube is The Lady Behind the Mask. I did the monologue a year ago, which is called The Mask Behind the Mask monologue, and I had 8 individual women, basically doing 8 different skits of the emotions of my poetry that was on the book, through the book. And it was a great way to show it through another perspective of you know the mask behind the mask, because we wear so many faces. So it was my way of just dedicating it in a different version.
Well, we just thank you so much for coming on here and giving people hope, showing them that no matter what you've been through, there's a way for you to overcome it and do blessed things to help other people who may be experiencing the same thing, who may be fearful of even coming out and saying what they've been through. So we just thank you so much for being that voice for those people who feel that they're not able to do that. And all your busyness that you're in, God bless you just for that
Yes,
alone.
Yes.
yes, yes. Look, this is what grace looks like, guys. But
Yes.
yes, thank you sis so much. And I just want to close out by saying, you talking about, you first having to, learn how to take off the mini mask that you were wearing. And y'all look what happens when you show up as you. Like I've learned, right, especially when you're in, toxic relationships and in, just self-destructive, patterns and things like that, right? Those things hinder us from walking in our purpose, right? It's deeper just being in the wrong relationship. It's deeper just hanging around the wrong people. It's deeper than just, having these habits and, doing these things. Like we are literally hindering ourselves from walking in our purpose. Like, and like we'll be here a whole nother however long, but yeah, like I know that firsthand, like, and I one day I just said, like, and I felt so strongly. It was like,
Mhm.
and I heard, like, you're never gonna be who you were created to be or do the things that you were created to do as long as you are in this place. Like, and I was like, what's worth that? What is
Right.
worth, like nothing, like nothing. So, don't be afraid, even if sometimes it's not an abusive relationship. Sometimes it's not, something we're doing. Sometimes you're just, you don't feel like you're good enough. You can feel like, so you're wearing a mask. You're trying to be something you're really not, or feeling like you're not good enough to show up as you, but you are. And I'm telling you, great things happen when, like she said, and she even read, when you just show up, but showing, don't do yourself an injustice, right? And don't do the people who God created. We're all assigned to, right? So our assignments are attached to people. Don't do the people who, like she said, the queens that we are meant to show up for, kings, the people, whatever, right? Don't do them an injustice by showing up as anything beside yourself.
Mhm.
Because when God called you to it, and when He purposed you for it, He assigned you, the real you, and you don't have to show up as anything else but you. Like, loving yourself, seeing yourself the way God sees you. That's why rocking with God is so important. Yes, of course, eternal life. That's the big thing, right? But even here, it's so crucial and so vital that we rock with Him here on earth, right? Because that's how, and we don't know God. If you don't know God, you don't love yourself. And I say that very respectfully. Because if you don't know God, you don't know who you are. And to know who you are, you got to know where you came from. I think about, example of, we see on movies, right? Somebody was adopted, and then, they find out at 30, 40, that they were adopted. And they say something like, well, I always felt like I didn't fit in. I always felt like something was missing. So then they go on that search. They're like, listen, mom, dad, adopted, the adopted mom and dad. I appreciate y'all. I love everything you did for me. But I need to do this for myself so I can know who I am, where I came from. So to love yourself is to know God, which is to know His love, and to see yourself the way that He sees you. Like, so we love y'all tremendously. We thank you for rocking with us another Friday, another episode. Thank you again, Sheena, for
It was a
gracing
pleasure.
our platform, blessing us with another one. Thank you, God. Um, it's Memorial Day weekend. Y'all be safe out there. Enjoy your family. Look, don't forget to enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself.
I'll be prepping
Guys,
for work.
uh,
I got like 3 schools to go to next week.
oh, wow. Wow. Oh, well, do it, Lord. But yes. So, y'all be blessed. You already know, in the meantime, in between time, if there is a need, prayer, whatever, we have drop us a message in the inbox. We are not just here to come before you and talk and encourage you just verbally, but like literally, you already know this is a community, and that's where we are about doing life together. So we love y'all. Have an amazing week. Love yourself and love others. Peace out.